Hello everyone, we're back for our last interview session from this afternoon, and then we'll be going into portfolio reviews with the OK Motion girls. But we're here now with Xavier, who's joining us. We were just speaking French and now we have to speak English, and it's what
Let's do the switch.
Let's do the switch. How are you?
Fine, fine. Super overwhelmed.
Yeah.
First time at OFF,
yeah.
So it's bigger than what I imagined.
Yeah.
It's really huge, actually. I don't know how many people, but it's crazy.
I didn't go upstairs. I have just been on this floor, and it's enough for me. So I haven't
that's the biggest.
Okay,
that's
good to
the
know. When did you get here?
Wednesday.
Nice.
And I already had a tour. There were the opening night for the speakers.
Nice.
And it's super well organized. It's great.
Everyone loves it, and we're back in person. I think so many people are having their first real event in real life. I think after the last 2-3 years, right?
Yeah, I heard a lot of the speakers were saying, I'm glad to be back at OFF. So I think there are a lot of people that know OFF.
Yeah.
I'm just in the discovering mode, okay, this is huge and that's it.
We were just saying that your session is last, so you have all this pressure from these days to kind of consume all this content and amazing work, and then you're thinking, okay, I will have to present eventually.
Yeah. I'm watching all their talks and I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna present after all that. And I'm like, okay, this is pressure on.
I think maybe on Saturday I wouldn't go to anything. I would just kind of go in my zone and focus on one thing, talk. So introduce yourself to everyone, because we obviously, I know you, but what do you do and what brings you to OFF?
Well, I'm a creative director, photographer, filmmaker, based in Brussels.
Yeah.
I got my invitation to speak at OFF, and I was like, okay, I've never been there. I heard a lot about that event, so I was just jumping, and I said, okay, I'm going.
Amazing.
So, and my talk will be about. It will be about my work, but more also about my personal story. Mm-hmm. So. Before being a photographer, I was actually a developer, a web developer for 6 years.
Okay.
So it was like almost an entire small career. And then I quit everything and I start working as a freelance photographer. And the talk is about the process, the struggle, the mess up.
We need to hear a little bit of this as well.
And then a good ending.
Okay, hopefully. There's like a cliffhanger and we're all waiting to know.
Exactly.
But I'm keen to hear a bit about that story as well. Are you still based in Brussels, or where are you based now?
I'm still based in Brussels.
Okay, nice.
So I'm born there and
nice.
I lived all my life there.
Yeah.
And but hopefully I hope in the coming years to move somewhere else. Just to
a big city, or what is the dream?
No, for the moment I was thinking Portugal.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
It's nice weather, still in Europe, close to the family, so and it would be a big change. So I think.
So you have family in Portugal.
Yeah.
Nice, super nice. It's interesting because a lot of your work is in those big hustle cities where you have this buzz, and actually your life is quite different from that. Or
yeah, and actually most of my work is not where I live. So. All the cities I shoot, New York, Tokyo, Singapore, Hong Kong, it's all very far from home. Yeah. And I think it's just difficult to find inspiration where you live. Yeah. You're so into the city, and so everything I shoot is always far from home.
Nice. You can really travel, but then the last 2 years must have been a little bit challenging with the pandemic. How did you, I mean, let's go back to first the web developer and being in Brussels. When did you make this jump to going full?
So I made the jump in 2012.
Okay.
So actually, I'm celebrating 10 years as a freelance photographer.
Great, and you're going to OFF. This is
and
great.
I'm going to OFF, so it's best way to celebrate it. It's been 10 years, so whatever happened, I made it so far.
Definitely.
But yeah, 2012, and I start my career 6 years before.
Okay.
I worked in agency first. Mm-hmm. just as a really web developer, and at the time a Flash developer.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so that was my specialty at the time, Flash development.
Yeah.
Then Flash disappeared, and I made the jump to become a photographer.
Nice.
So it was really more like I wanted to become freelance because I didn't want to work for a company. I didn't want to be an employee anymore. I wanted to choose my own project, and at the same time I wanted to okay, let's change the landscape. I'm every day on my computer coding. I just want to go out, meet people, do something else, and so I had a hobby that was photography. It was a passion, and I said, okay, I'm just going to brand myself as a freelance photographer, and let's see where it goes.
And this kind of software background still helped a little bit with the tools you use, or what are you using in terms of your
I'm still very tech savvy, so
exactly.
it helps a lot. My main software in terms of photography, editing and post-production is Lightroom.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people ask me that usually, how do you retouch your picture? Actually, I do everything in Lightroom.
Amazing, yeah.
And when I need to go one step further, I'll jump to Photoshop.
Yeah.
So that's my duo, my combo main software.
Yeah.
For video editing, I use Premiere also.
Yeah.
And for color grading, I switched to DaVinci a couple of times ago. So that's my main toolbox.
Was animation always there, or you started more with photography?
My background, my study was multimedia.
Oh, okay.
So I studied video editing, photo editing, a bit of 3D, coding, and then it was like learning all those bases, and then you have to learn by yourself. If you like photography, then you have to push on photography.
Yep.
At the time, I was good at coding, so I pushed the developer side more because of Flash.
Yeah.
All that era of Flash design, Flash development, all those interactive websites. So I was really, I was not a rock star, but I was good at it enough to make a living from it. So I started working as a Flash developer, but the visual part was missing, and that's how I jumped back to photography.
And how did you start traveling, and where was the first kind of destination where you thought, yeah, this is somewhere I have to go, and this will be where my work kind of, and maybe it wasn't so intentional, right? But
so my first trip, like far from home, was New York, and I was on the plane for my 25 years old.
Nice.
So it was alone. I decided to offer that to myself.
Wow, I love this.
So I paid myself 4 days in New York alone for my 25 years.
Did you have a blast, or how did it go?
It was crazy. I mean, I arrived in New York, and everything I saw in movie was just there.
Real.
I was like, oh, this is so huge. This is so big. This is like the building, the streets. Everything was so big, and I was with my camera, of course, and I was shooting.
Yeah.
I didn't sleep for 4 days.
Nice.
I just went out days and nights taking pictures. And that was the first time I traveled far from home, and I was like, oh, there is something else outside Belgium.
Further out.
And after that, I met my partner, and she actually loved to travel, so she gave me the virus to travel. And we went back to New York, but we went to Japan in 2013, and that was like love at first sight.
Love it. Yeah.
Culture, country, everything about Japan still inspired me today, and I think my work is strongly inspired by Japan.
And have you been back a lot in the recent years, 5 years, 10 years?
In Japan?
Yeah.
4 times.
Nice.
I went 4 times in total, and right now I'm waiting.
Okay.
Because the border is closed.
Oh, still?
Still, for tourists.
Okay.
So tourism, if you are a tourist, you can go to Japan.
Okay.
So I'm actually subscribed to a newsletter to know exactly when they open their border.
I love that someone came up with that as well.
Yeah, because they know
There's an audience.
all the Japan fans are waiting, and I'm one of them. So once they say border are open, I book my
Full
tickets,
planes
and I just go there 2 weeks at least. I hope to just take a breath.
Nice. Let's talk a bit about how it became, a thing with your Glow project. This is one that you often talk about, so I also want to talk about other projects and work that you have recently.
Yeah.
But we can also show your Behance and website as example. How did that start?
So it started So actually, it started when during my first trip.
Yeah.
I was shooting Japan, pictures of the street, etc. And when I came back home, I was disappointed actually about the picture because it didn't reflect the vibe, etc. That I could feel on location. So I actually put those pictures on a hard drive, and I didn't do anything with them.
Yeah.
And I can show at the same time actually. So this is like the first series. Wait, I'm gonna. So those pictures, they're really like the first picture I processed with this filter, with these colors, etc. And the idea came. I was watching manga and anime on television, and I was looking how they play with the colors, how they make it completely unrealistic. And I start thinking, oh, okay, this is interesting because this is maybe what lacks from my picture I did 2 years ago, because it already been 2 years since I was in Japan. So I took all those shots from that trip and I start retouching them. And I published them online, just like that. I think it was on Facebook and on Twitter, just like, okay, here is my new series around Tokyo.
Yeah.
I just published them, and I think like 6 days after, I got published in like 2-3 big magazines online, like Design Boom, Creative Boom,
Nice.
Fubi's,
Yeah.
which is also well known,
Yeah.
and it just blew up. And I start receiving message about it, and I was like, okay, there is something about
I'm
it.
talented.
No, but there is something about this.
We'll say this.
I start thinking, okay, maybe people like Cities in Pink, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I start receiving message from people who actually lived in Japan. And one of the email was saying like, I lived 6 years in Japan, and your picture is exactly how I remember it.
Yeah.
And that's when I start thinking, oh, okay, maybe that's it. I'm giving people memories from the place, because by playing with the colors, I'm giving back all those emotions that you don't have on a picture. You know, when you're on location, for example, here when I shot that, it was noisy. I had all the noise from the game machine. It was summer. It was hot. So it's all that vibrancy around you that you don't have on the picture. And I think by playing with the colors, I could get back kind of that vibe that you have on the streets, on those Luna Park, etc. And that's really like the origin of this project.
I can imagine when you first see these kind of raw images and it feels flat and you start bringing life to it, it's almost like painting onto that. And the thing is that it's so dynamic that you feel something.
It was super flat.
Yeah.
I mean, during my talk tomorrow, I'm actually showing just a couple of like before after.
I would love to see that, but we'll go to the talk.
And it's really like people are like, oh, okay, it's completely not the same, but it's. I mean, clearly Japan is not that pink, but that's how you feel it.
Yeah. Somehow the color works really well for suits it. And I haven't even been to Japan, and I can completely imagine that it's like this.
Yeah,
which is great.
You really when you look at the original picture, it's not that exciting.
Yeah.
You'd say, oh yeah, nice street, but it doesn't make you feel like, oh, I should visit that place.
Yeah.
Which with those lights, etc., you think, okay, that's a nice street. I want to go there.
Yeah.
So that's, for example, one of the pictures I'll show tomorrow, the before after.
Nice. And I think there's a big trend as well of photographers and just artists in general going to Asia as well. And it's hard to see distinctive work at some point because it's becoming this bubble of creativity there. So then, this helps you stand out, I think, as well.
And actually, when I release Glow, after a couple of times, people start putting hashtag on my pictures saying cyberpunk, neon sci-fi, Blade Runner, and I was like,
interesting.
That was not my goal. I mean, okay, interesting, but I've never been looking to actually go in that style. It was more like I just wanted to get back the emotions that you have on location, but the souvenir, the memories that you could get. But it was definitely not about doing a sci-fi collection.
Yeah.
And actually, after a couple of years, I got the chance to go back to Japan for a client there that asked me to redo a complete series. Okay. And that was a paid job, so it was great because from a personal project, from a travel, I could just go back and shoot. And the client brief was, we like what you do,
Okay.
so please do what you like. And it was
Oh,
very
wow.
Japanese style. And I was like, this is a dream coming true. So do you want to come with me to approve the picture, to validate the picture? No. Just
Do what you love.
we pay you for 4 days. You can just walk the street, take picture, then at the end of the week, you just give us the
Deliver.
picture and that's it. And I was like, dream job. So that's the series I
Nice.
did at that time. So that was the dream job.
It's so strange going back with a purpose this time, and you're like, actually, now I have to shoot, and I have in mind the final image that I kind of want to get to, right?
Yeah, and it's a bit more stressing because I couldn't resist to send him picture before the end of the trip, just to have like sort of an approval of a
Yeah, a
validation. Is it good or not? And they were just saying, yeah, it's good.
Okay,
And,
cool.
and so I said, okay, then good. So and also because I was working for a company, they could give me access to a location that was difficult for me to get, like the highest top floor of a huge
What a
building
dream.
on Shibuya. So that was
Nice.
like the location from where I was shooting. So I spent the night at my window
This brings so much life. Yeah.
shooting time lapse. I mean, then they say, okay, we're gonna
Okay, this escalated.
rent you we're gonna rent you an helicopter, and then you can just shoot from the sky. And I was like, oh, okay. That's
How did I
my
get
first time
here?
in helicopter, and
Oh,
so
no.
I was trying to look professional. So I said something like maybe we will have reflection on the window of the helicopter.
Oh no.
And they just say, no, don't worry, because we removed the window. So I said,
Oh, it's super reassuring.
this is so professional and reassuring. So as you can see,
Oh my
they were like, no window, but that was fun.
At this point, I was really thinking, okay, I really need to get this shot, but I also want to
At this
survive.
point, you are thinking, oh man, they are spending so much money on that shoot.
yeah.
You better bring back something.
Imagine you come down and you're like, this,
And we did actually.
Fair. Fair.
Luckily, we came back with something.
most expensive shoot.
Yeah, and I went back like a year after, and because I knew they were doing a campaign,
yeah.
but they didn't want to tell me when and where was the billboard. And I don't know why they keep it secret, because they ask me like, why do you want to know? And I say, because if you have my picture on a billboard, I'm going to come to Japan. And they say, why? To shoot my picture. And they answer me like something like,
What?
you're going to shoot a picture of your picture? And I say, hell yes,
Hell
if it's in Japan on a billboard, I'll do that. And so they never told me. And
Oh.
1 year after, I say, okay, I'm going to Japan and let's see if I'm lucky. And I was walking in the street and then I saw my billboard
So you actually
there.
found it.
Yeah, I
pretty
found
good
it in the
spot.
streets. And that was crazy.
That's
I
amazing.
mean, I was like a kid in the street and I was like, oh, that's my...
I could also picture New York as one of those, like you're in Times Square and you're like, oh, this is me.
I never did Times Square, but I'm
Who
open
knows?
for
Yeah,
discussion.
exactly. Anyone watching? Talking about anyone
watching?
Yeah.
I could do that.
In the chat, we still have some people who feel free to ask questions. By the way, to Xavier, who's here. We have Oliver, who's here. Stuart, Kirsty, Dia. Loads of compliments for your color balance and your use of Lightroom.
Thank
so
you.
That's awesome. Any, I mean, where did you take Glow from there? Because I think that's a good place to start again. There's a lot that's been happening since. So where is it going?
So technically, it has evolved. So the first thing I wanted to do when I saw it was really something and that I love to do.
Yeah.
So it's not like I forced myself to travel in cities and shoot cities at night. So I was thinking, okay, I want to do new cities. So I do a couple. New York, of course, is also one of the big cities I love. And so I went back to New York after my trip in helicopter to Japan.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I need to do a trip in helicopter in New York, you know.
Wow.
And that one was actually way more radical, because when I talked about the reflection problem, they removed the doors. So there were no doors on the helicopter. So it was also a crazy ride.
That's crazy.
And the pilot, he was like very reassuring, because he was saying, it's super cold. So if you feel that your hands are like a bit like you don't feel the fingers, etc.,
Yeah.
just tell me, because we go back to the base. I was like, with my camera on my hand, I was like, okay, no,
Do
it's
I feel
okay.
them?
I still feel.
I got this.
I still feel my hands. And no, it was a great trip. And so I released those pictures, and from that point, I was thinking, okay, let's just keep going because the color palette is a bit different here. So I was trying, okay, let's adapt to the city. Let's see, depending on the city I'm visiting, how I want to, how do I feel the city, how the emotions come back, and which color I want to use.
Yeah.
So I continue travel, but the thing is, the fact that now I knew what I was going to do on location. If you take my first trip, I reused picture from an old trip to do glow.
Yeah.
But now I knew what I wanted to do. So I went to Bangkok with a tripod.
Nice.
And I start working with, because I wanted to get the better quality possible during my night shot.
Yeah.
So I use a tripod with a low sensitivity on my camera, and I did only long exposure. And based on that, I start having those lines
nice.
on the picture, like, for example, let me find this one. So I start thinking, okay, it's interesting because I use the color to get back the vibrancy, the emotions, etc. But now with the long exposure, you see the difference. This is like short exposure, this is long exposure, and I kind of get the motion.
Yep.
So it kind of evolved, and I start taking more and more cities. For example, this is one shot in Hong Kong, where I actually wait to have the bus and the tramway to pass just next to me to capture the speed. So I start getting like the colors for the emotion, but the movement. Also the movement, freezing the movement in one frame.
Yeah.
So the technique kind of evolved.
Yeah, and there's so much more thought in the process as well. Within it, you're like, okay, I'll wait for this to happen.
It's not just like color, it's like a complete, how can I get the maximum into one frame? And so for example, this one is a bit different because it's multiple picture that I then color grade in Lightroom, and then I bring them to Photoshop, and I say, okay, let's take this tramway, let's take the bus here, let's take those two people there, and let's put them all in one shot to get really the complete chaos of the city. Yeah.
And you have some of this work in print as well, right? Did you start seeing, how did that start, and is it a nice experience to see it like in a exhibition?
So a couple of years ago, I got contacted by Chromalux, who does print on metal plate. And I did exhibition with them, so that was the first time I could really see my work printed. And I also did a couple of exhibitions. Now I'm also selling my prints online. Yeah. And it's another completely another medium because in my living room, for example, I have my own work, and I start seeing my picture differently because every day I see it. And I see, that details, I didn't see it before. And so I really enjoy that.
Rediscovering.
Yeah, rediscovering completely.
We have about 2 minutes to go already. It's going by super fast. What's kind of next for you this year? You have your talk tomorrow, and after that, what's going beyond? We're back in real life, and we're traveling, and that's super nice to see, right?
I was expecting that question.
You were? Oh, damn it. I like questions that are unexpected.
It's the hardest question, and I'm still thinking about it.
Okay, that's why.
I really want to go back to more like connecting the dots. Yeah. So when I look back now at my career, 10 years photography and filmmaking, and 6 years as a developer, I would love to connect the dots and taking what I learned as a developer and mixing that to photography and visual to create maybe interactive installation.
Nice.
I would like to go, the print was the first step, but I would like to take everything that is digital now and put it more like in the physical.
Nice, the interactivity is really interesting.
Yeah, physical setups. That's what I would dream of.
Nice. Well, we wish you best of luck because we're just at time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for everything and good luck for your talk tomorrow. We'll be back in about 5 minutes with portfolio reviews with OK Motion, and we'll leave the hosting to Rufus and Melanie. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Nice.